Welcome to Rugby TV as we continue our build-up to the 2023 Super League season. And with 15 days to go, it is the turn of the man with the longest name in Rugby League. Kevin, it's our number 15.
It's Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook. And Louis is proudly sponsored even by Health Watch St Helens. Health Watch St Helens was created to find out what local people think about the health and social care services they use. They work with health and social care providers to help them understand how to make things better for the St Helens community.
And one man in a rude state of health is Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook. He looks younger by the year. I don't know whether it's Botox, the skin creams he uses, or just his youthful exuberance shining through. But 28 appearances in 2022, he's still got a part to play.
He has indeed. That's it. I think if you guessed that this was his last season at Saints, I don't think you'd be out of order to guess that. But yeah, he was still performing last year and worthy of a one-year extension, which he's got for this season. No one has taken his shirt off him. You've still got the young guns and the squad players who are gunning for that spot on the bench that Louis tends to have. But someone needs to go out there and start taking his shirt off him, just making it so Louis kind of, I don't know the right phrase for it. I'm not going to say goes quietly off and his Saints career comes to a nice gentle end, because you know what? Louis not going to want that. Louis is going to want to play 28 times again this season and go out with another grand final winners ring.
And listen, if you look at Louis' performances over the last 4 or 5 years, there has been no drop in standard from him whatsoever. And as it stands, he's in year 17 to start the year.
Yeah.
Or do you disagree?
No. I think he is. I think he is in year 17, and I think it's up to the lads who are kind of behind him in the pecking order to go and take his shirt, as I say. So unless something is happening differently in training, unless something is happening differently kind of behind the scenes, then yeah, it's Louis' shirt. Same as I said with Conrad, it's his shirt. The others should have to work to take it off him.
If you were looking at the makeup of the squad, essentially, Louis' role this year on paper should be to be playing like the 5th or 6th prop role. The part that Kyle Amor started last year, essentially playing. But as it is, he's probably 4th choice still, 4th prop.
Yeah.
Is that? It's probably a combination of both. Is it a little bit of a disappointment in that our young players haven't done enough to overtake, or is it simply Louis been that good to keep his shirt?
I don't think it's a disappointment that young players haven't overtaken him. Props and forwards tend to, with the odd exception, Matty Lee's being one, tend to come through a little bit later in the career. So I think when you look at the list, you possibly think, well, Dan Norman should be the one really knocking on the door to take his shirt. And then you go down into the other props and you think, well, if Jake Winfield's going to play as a middle, he's still a young lad. Lewis Baxter's a young lad first. I know he had a season with us, but this is going to be the first season that he's going to be really knocking on the door of that 21-man squad. So I think that might be a bit harsh, to be fair. I think Louis' performances are the reason why he's still held in such high regard, still given a squad number as high as it is. There's no need to change that. And why he started the game for Percy's testimonial rather than one of the others.
Is it fair to say that Louis has been one of our best British signings of the Super League era? And I'm talking about players we've took from other clubs and not ones we've grown ourselves.
Yeah, you could definitely argue that. I think he's been great for us. I think sometimes people want all action, all starring, barreling up the middle, making 200-300 meters a game, and God knows how 50 tackles and all that palaver. When props play different roles. But yeah, I think you could definitely argue that he is one of the best in the Super League era that we've taken from another club. I think his longevity has got to be part of that as well. The fact that this is his 13th season with us, is it? I think that just whether other opposition fans or our own fans rate him or not, I think you've got to doff your cap at the fact that he has been in these squads first choice or at least in the 17 for that amount of time, and a whole host of coaching staff have kept him in that, and you've got to at the very least acknowledge that. But I think Louis has been better than just acknowledging that. I think Louis needs to be in that conversation.
And obviously a hell of a lot of Super League rings as well. But you're quite right. The fact that every coach who he's played under selects him in the 17 continually shows you that, just how highly he's rated. But off the field as well, I think he offers us something really different that I don't think Super League clubs have had. It. You'd only have to hear any forum or any interviews you hear with anyone in the squad about Louis, and you've got to have someone like that round the club just to keep those spirits bubbling over.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we've got a couple, but I think they know when to switch it on and off again, and they know when to knuckle down. And I think the coach is obviously like that because he keeps getting deals as well. And I know you can argue, well, salary cap sport, can you bring somebody else in? Of course you can. Of course, over the years, if we'd have wanted to move any player on, I'm not just talking about Louis here, you can do, and you do. And you think that you'll go somewhere different. You know what? He's been there for so long now. There is a reason for that, and that is because he's a very good player.
Yeah, and do you know what? We've got to find someone this year who can fill his shoes next year.
Yeah,
and the big shoes to fill, and a big name on the back of the jersey to fill as well.
Yeah, that's it. It's the cash cow of printing at the club shop might be coming to an end soon. They're going to be wanting more McCarthy Scarsbrooks and less Robies to print, aren't they?
I think it's fair to say that Louis done enough essentially to go out on his terms this year as well. I don't see him falling out of the 17 too often. It may come that we manage his time a little bit this year, maybe. Probably the same as we will for James Roby as well.
Yeah, I think when you say he might not drop out the 17 too often, if he does, it won't necessarily be because he's been dropped for performances. I think it'll be more exactly as you say, we're managing, sorry, Louis, but an older body through a season. And because we've got to keep one eye on the future. We can't, you play for the game that you've got ahead, and he might be one that we roll out in the big games, especially. But you've got to give Dan Norman, you've got to give Lewis Baxter and the likes a chance. I keep feeling like I'm missing somebody out there who another prop, but you've got to give them the chance. You've got to give them minutes. You've got to get them used to the intensity, because probably next year, 2024, you've not got Louis there. You don't want to have to be going out trying to bring someone in.
But that's the sign of any good business, isn't it? Making sure that there's always the next one in line to step up. It's like Everton. Obviously, Everton go and sell 40 million Anthony Gordon, and they got the next player lined up, ready to come in and be signed on transfer deadline. Oh, no. Anyway, right. I think that's us done and dusted. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll catch you tomorrow for another episode of Red VTV.